console manufacturers create games to show off their new hardware. The most popular one everyone knows of is Wii Sports, a game that not only showed millions how motion controls could work in games, but it also delivered a fun experience that everyone could love. Sony has launched the PS5 with a game that I think is as equally as important. A game that not only shows off the power of the PS5 and the new DualSense controller, but a game that's actually a great platformer as well, that I hope we see more of in the future. Astrobot actually takes place inside of the PS5 itself, as Astrobot explores the PS5 going inside each of its components, represented by a theme such as jungle, sky, tech, and water. You will collect PlayStation coins, puzzle pieces, and plenty of PlayStation products. Of course, you will fight enemies too. Most die by a simple punch, but some will require you to pull at a plug set on their head, or even use your jets to defeat them. As you make your way through each level, you will see plenty of PlayStation references from many first and third party games that are heavily associated with PlayStation and its brand. You can even interact with many of these bots that are acting out PlayStation games, so try messing with them and see what they may do. This really is a love letter to PlayStation fans and to PlayStation as an entire company. But this isn't just a trip down memory lane. Like I said before, Astrobot is actually a fun, competent platformer in its own right. And although nostalgia is here, this game is not held down by nostalgia. Now, to be clear, you won't be pulling your hair out or anything. These aren't extremely challenging platforming levels, but a more moderate challenge that will satisfy even people like me who are longtime platforming fans. I mentioned PlayStation collectibles before. As you collect coins, you can play a gacha machine so you can earn even more PlayStation goodies. You can even see all the PlayStation toys that you've collected in your adventure. Try hitting some of them to see what they may do. Now, I saved the most important part of Astrobot for last. That's the DualSense features. Before the game starts, you get a taste of the many ways the DualSense can be used. And just like Wii Sports, this game shows off the potential of these features. Unfortunately, just like the Wii, you really won't understand what I'm saying unless you play it yourself, but I'll do my best to explain it. Let's start with the haptic feedback triggers. The DualSense can give you different levels of feedback depending upon how far you pull each trigger. This is represented by the Frog minigame, where depending upon the pressure that you push down on the triggers determines your jump range, and you control the direction you go in with the motion controls. There are others like the Spaceship minigame that does this as well. However, here the slightest touch determines the speed you go in. This shows how sensitive these triggers are, but my favorite example is the Monkey minigame. For any Game Boy Advance fans out there, you probably played a game called Donkey Kong King of Swing, and this game reminds me exactly of that. Each trigger represents your hands, and you use motion controls to swing and control your movement. As you press down on the triggers, you get to grab each ledge. Now the cool part here is some rocks actually can break, so you have to squeeze the trigger ever so slightly in order not to break the ledge. There's also a touch mini game that involves you controlling a rolling ball. This is pretty self-explanatory as you control the ball with the touchpad as you make your way through a pretty difficult track. There's also a hand gliding mini game where you use motion controls to steer the hand glider. Astrobot actually gets a few weapons on his adventure as well that actually show off the satisfying rumble. That's another important part of the entire experience, is the rumble and how everything feels in your hand. The rumble is very detailed, simulating actual touch that you would feel in real life. This is leaps and bounds more detailed than the vibration found in Nintendo Switch's HD Rumble. Astrobot's Playroom may have been written off as just a tech demo by many, but to me it's actually an experience well beyond its purpose. It's surprisingly actually a system seller in my book, something that I feel the PS5 has been missing. I got a solid 7 hours out of the game, and that's getting all the trophies, with an optional extra trophy that has nothing to do with the platinum that I can go for, which will take me about another 7 hours to get. Not only do you get a full platforming game, but you also get even time trials as well that you can compete with your friends online with. The best part of it all is that this game comes with no extra charge. Astrobot's Playroom actually gives me hope that Sony hasn't lost their creative way. In a sea of the same type of big budget movie type games that Sony has been making as of late, it's good to see that Sony can still dig in the creative bag and pull out something as unique as Astrobot. A game so good it even rivals a first party Nintendo game. Astrobot gets a solid 5 out of 5.